Today we will chant the hymn which is composed by Swami Vivekananda on his Guru Sri Ramakrishna. And the little meaning of this verses: Om Reem, thou art the truth, immutable conqueror of the gunas and adored by the gunas, since I do not, alas, repeatedly, night and day, worship with a yearning heart thy lotus feet, which destroy delusion. Therefore, thou alone art my refuge, O friend of the lowly. Rita Padhe शिवं सुविमलं तव नाम नाथ यस्मादहं त्वशरणो
I'm reading from the book. I'm reading from the book For Seekers of God, Spiritual Talks of Mahapurush Maharaj Swami Shivananda, a direct disciple of Sri Ramakrishna. The first incident is recorded, place Belur, time April 18, 1929. Monk: Maharaj, my mind is very much disturbed. I have not been able to do much spiritual practice. Time is passing fast. What will happen to me? Swami: my child, be resigned to God. Nothing can be accomplished without His grace. Can man realize Him by spiritual practice alone? If He reveals Himself out of compassion, then alone can one realize Him, otherwise not. Who is competent to reach Him? How long can a man pursue spiritual practice? Say 2 hours, 4 hours, or at the most 8 hours? Not only that, it is the Lord who is responsible for the desire for spiritual practice. He is the fountain of all forces. Unless He is gracious and gives us the strength, how can we pursue spiritual practice? That is why I am stressing that you should be resigned to God fervently prayed, O Lord, be merciful to me, then alone will He be merciful. It is mercy that counts. Mercy, mercy. Sri Ramakrishna used to say, one should say, thou and thine, and not I and mine. What can we do unless He graciously reveals Himself? Grace. Grace is what is necessary. Be graceful to us, O Lord. The other incident is recorded in Dhaka. Time is 1922. A brahmachari asks, what is the best path for realizing God? Mahapurush Maharaj. The scriptures contain various instructions for realizing God, but the final word is self-surrender. One can be free from all worries only by surrendering oneself at the blessed feet of God and continuing there with absolute reliance. In the Gita, the Lord instructs Arjuna about yoga, devotion, knowledge, and all other things, and then says, relinquishing all duties, dharmas, take refuge in me alone. I will liberate you from all sins. Grieve not. That is the quintessence of the Gita. The Lord promises, free yourself from all ideas of merit and demerit and everything else, and take refuge in me. I shall save you from all sins. But it is true that complete self-surrender and taking refuge in God do not come in one day. It is an uphill task. All the practices you undertake, worship, study, japa, meditation, hard austerities, all that is meant for leading you to take refuge in me. And above all, God's grace is needed. If one goes on meditating and reflecting on God and praying to Him with undivided attention, He becomes compassionate and grants this extremely rare self-surrender. Yes.
Now a short period of meditation. Good morning, friends. Today's subject is what is true surrender. Sri Ramakrishna's prayer written by Swami Vivekananda, just we're listening in the song, Tasmat Tvameva Sharanam Mama Dina Bandhu. I resign myself to thee, O Lord, says Swami Vivekananda, O friend of the poor, is God the friend of only poor? What is meant by the poor there? The poor there means not poor in money or wealth, but poor in ego, poor in arrogance. When we are free from arrogance and ego, then the real poverty comes, which makes us able to surrender to God and depend fully on Him. And that is needed when Jesus said, "Blessed are the poor in heart, for they shall see God." So that poverty, that removing of arrogance, that getting freedom from this false ego, that alone can make us really surrender to the will of God. And Sri Krishna has promised that whoever completely dedicates himself or herself to me, God takes care of. He says, "Yoga kshemam vahamyaham." I carry whatever my devotee needs. I protect whatever needs to be protected. Yoga and kshema. I will do that. And I will carry whatever my devotee needs. That is the promise of God. But what type of devotee? Not that who only comes and bows down a little or just kneels down in front of the cross and forgets God all the time and does his own egoistic work. That is not the devotee who will be taken care of by God. God will take care of that devotee if he's got ananyas chintayanto mam. That is the condition God places. One who is in awareness of me all the time. Ananyas chintayanto mam ye jana paryupasate, who worship me, being aware of me all the time and not of anything else. That person is devoted, has faith, is dependent on God and God alone. Only then God protects. The beautiful story in the Gospel that you remember, one person was coming thinking of God and there were many washermen drying the clothes on the ground and that person steps his foot on the cloth because he was thinking of God. Washermen become very angry and they started throwing brickbats on him, stones on that person. Go away from this, you are dirtying the cloth that we just washed. So seeing that, then Vishnu in the heaven, the God became very anxious to protect the God because he was thinking of God alone. And my devotee is in peril, in difficulty, is being troubled, being harmed. So he rushed from his abode. And he rushed out and immediately he went back to his abode. Lakshmi, the divine consort of Vishnu, asked, "Oh Lord, what happened? You just rushed without saying me anything and you just came back in the same half. What happened?" "Oh, that was the trouble my devotee was getting. People didn't understand. He was fully absorbed in me and he somehow set his foot on the cloth that was being dried. Then why did you come back without protecting him?" "Oh, I saw that guy himself had picked up the stones and threw it back on the washerman. So he was able to protect himself, or he thought he can protect himself, so I need not do anything." Lack of self-surrender. You know the Gajendra Moksha, that story. Elephant went to the water to drink, devotee of God, he was a great devotee of God. And there was a crocodile. And crocodiles in that water and that grabbed the foot of the elephant and started dragging. Mighty animal of the land, the biggest animal of the land. He was being dragged by a smaller creature, but it was in water. In water, the crocodile became more powerful than elephant. Elephant knew his power and tried to save himself, tried to put his all might and tried to free his leg, but he could not. He was attempting, he could not. Finally, when you are not able to do anything, then what you do is say, "Lord, please save me." And it all came from his heart. And Sri Krishna rushed, they say, without even wearing having food in the shoes. And Krishna comes and saves him from that crocodile. So that Gajendra Mukh is a beautiful story of self-surrender and God's protection in that. But for that, one need to be totally dependent on God. Sri Krishna was teaching to Arjuna, Arjuna, you have to fight in the battle. Arjuna said, but why should I fight? So many people will die. And it's, I want to live for those, and you are asking me to kill those people. For those whom really it matters to live for them, it's better to just renounce everything, go away from the battle and live unarmed. So he started arguing with Sri Krishna. And Sri Krishna said, it's not a good thing to say that is your dharma. Then Arjuna said, but you know what harm that battle wars make? Everything becomes corrupted, the society goes down. He started arguing. Then finally he said, Sri Krishna then he had to teach him what is duty, what is the duty of a Kshatriya, and what is killing and being killed, what is the truth of the life, its reality, its Atma. He told all the things, all the yogas he taught, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga. And finally Sri Krishna, Arjuna says, Shishyasteham sadhimam tvam prapannam. When he surrendered himself, then Sri Krishna finally took all he said, now you surrender yourself to me and do as I say. Do as I say. And finally in the Gita, so beautiful, it says, I have told you what you should do. Now it is up to you what you want to do. If you listen to me what I said, it is duty, you are performing the duty. If you are doing whatever your egotistic mind says, then it is up to you, result you have to bear. So he gives freedom to choose what he wants to do. That is the beauty of this Shastra. So when he says, Lord, I am your disciple, now you guide me, Shishyasteham sadhimam tvam prapannam, and then it does. So in this surrender, when we want to totally give ourselves to the will of God, whatever God does is really for my good. There are some things implied that we have to have. There has to be complete faith in God, that God does to me everything, otherwise this surrender will not come. We say, Tasmat Tvameva Sharanam Mama Dina Bandhu. Oh Lord of the lowly, I surrender myself to Thee. In Sanskrit, in English, whatever you say. And then whatever happens, you do your own work. You don't have total faith. Just repeating that by mouth doesn't work anything. We have to have full faith in the Lord that He will take everything, He will take care of everything of mine. And He is always there to take care. There should be no doubt about God's taking care of mine. Complete faith in God and His love and care for me. I am God's child. God is taking care of me. Whatever I have been, it is by the grace of God so far. And God will take care of me throughout. He will guide me. That type of faith, when it comes in God, then only self-surrender. True self-surrender is possible. That is one condition. Another condition of surrender is Shraddha. This is total faith in Guru. Guru and God are same. The words of Guru. Guru said, do this japam, do meditation like that, you will reach God. Now, repeating 1 day, 2 days, 1 month, 1 year, God doesn't seem, no light comes, nothing seems to have developed. Now, I don't know, this mantra is good or other mantra is good. What mantra did you get? Can you say from your Guru whether my mantra is not that powerful? Then there is no way we can have total surrender or progress. Mantra that I got from the Guru is the most powerful thing and best suited thing, because Guru is not human being, it's God comes in the form of Guru at that time, and it's God's power flows to that Guru whom I call man. He may be man at other times, but when he imparts me the knowledge and instruction in time of initiation, he becomes one with God. God flows through him. It is all God speaks through him. That type of faith, Shraddha in God and Guru, that can make us surrender to the teaching of Guru. When Guru has said me, do this way, repeat this way, think this way, meditate this way, that is going to give me the highest good. That And if we have that type of Shraddha in Guru, and then we can have total surrender, true surrender to God. Girish Ghosh, is the best example of total surrender to the will of God. He was you can say he was a devotee, but he was, he didn't have the very kindest kind of conduct and character when he was writing and doing theatre. But he somehow grew in respect and love for Sri Ramakrishna. And he found Sri Ramakrishna having, what got him Sri Ramakrishna? He said, Sri Ramakrishna conquered me by the weapon of humility. And of course, a lot of love that Sri Ramakrishna had, and forgiveness. He used to abuse in a very filthy language, even to Sri Ramakrishna, who was revered by many as their Guru, as God incarnate at that time itself. And Girish goes in front of them to say many filthiest language to Sri Ramakrishna. His disciples said, you should not go to him. Next day he was supposed to go to Girish Ghosh. You should not visit him. He has become too bad in his language and behavior. You should show something. Sri Ramakrishna didn't say anything. Next morning he said, let me go to Girish Ghosh. He goes to the house of Girish Ghosh and was promised and he was invited. Girish Ghosh knew what he had said and how he behaved. Yet he was waiting for Sri Ramakrishna. Yet he was waiting. He didn't ask pardon or came back rushing, nothing. And he came when Sri Ramakrishna came, full of tears, he said, if you didn't come today, I will know that you are a mere human being. You are not God. There is no doubt that you are a God. Because a human being cannot forgive that much. There is a level of forgiveness. Only God can forgive all our mistakes or everything. That faith in God, God will wipe away all my mistakes and weaknesses and impurities and make me pure and gold. The dross will be taken away by God. That much faith in God only can give us power to self-surrender to the will of God. That's what Sri Krishna says, how to reach God, how to have knowledge of the reality, knowledge of truth, how to have that. Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprasnena sevaya. The first quality of realizing God, evolving yourself, is you have to approach the holy persons, and then first is surrender yourself. Pranipata is surrender. Do the Sastanga Pranam. Have complete faith in your teacher who will impart you knowledge and in his guidance. And that is the first condition, and there are two more conditions. Pariprasnena sevaya. Another is, then you put forth a question, your desire. And it should be true questions, what you want to get. And you have any difficulty, just open that to him, knowing fully that his answers or her answers will make you progress in the path. So much faith in that being whom you approach as the teacher. But first is surrender completely. That is pranipata. When we bow down to God or touch the ground in front of the deity or kneel down in front of the cross or bow down in our prayer as we do in the mosque, that all is surrendering. Lord, I am fully dependent on you and fully look to you for my guidance. And your guidance will come through you in my heart. God speaks in our heart. Do this, don't do that. And we have to have ears developed to listen to that voice of God in our heart. If we listen to the right sound, right advice of God, we'll never make a mistake in our life. Whenever we do mistake, it is because of our misjudgment, our ego working. So that is the way. Sri Krishna, that's why he said, Mama Nusmara Yudhyacha. You have to fight the battle of life. Work is inevitable, performing duty is very important in life. Whatever is ordered to you, but Mama Nusmara Yudhyacha. You have to, while performing the duty of life, why don't you connect yourself to me? Always remember me and do your duty. When we remember to God and we are connected to God, we are automatically connected to the God present in the hearts of every being. When we love God in a temple or a mosque or a church, we start loving God that is present, that has with true love, that is God is present in the heart of all. That is called Ma Anuswara. Remember me, that is, be always aware of my presence in every being. That is the remembering God. When someone does something wrong that we feel, don't treat as somebody doing wrong. See that it is coming from God for my something good to just strike upon my ego, perhaps something wrong I was thinking, I have become egoistic. That is the way God is testing whether I can see Him in adverse situation, in difficult times, whether I can find Him or not. Always be dependent on God, that's what it is said. Sri Ramakrishna tells about the story of Ramachandra and Lakshmana going to take a bath in a pond, and they were having bow, and they both thrust the bow on the ground, and after taking bath in the pond, they come out and they find, Lakshmana says, Rama, I find blood stain in the end of a bow. Then what happened? Some creature perhaps got killed, and they took out the bow and they find one bull frog was there, and it was not died. Then they asked, why didn't you croak? Frogs croak and they are caught by snake, but why didn't you croak and ask for help? We'd have removed the arrow. The frog said, whenever I'm caught by snake, by God I'm in danger, I say, Rama, please save me, Rama, please save me. But when I find Rama himself killing me, then whom should I call? That is self-surrender, you see. Rama doing is, if he wants to release me from the body, it's welcome. It's the best thing. We are caught in the mess of this body, Panchabhuta, you see. And when this death means liberation, becoming free from this body, and God Himself is doing that, giving trouble, so I fully surrender to the will of God. And this, by extension, when we can see anything coming from any being as coming from God, then we don't retaliate. We don't take revenge. It is God doing through this person. I see this person is doing to me, but in fact it is being done by God. Total surrender. That is true surrender, when we don't retaliate, when we don't, as in the words of Sri Ramakrishna, bite the person who harms us. Just of course Sri Ramakrishna said, you may hiss that person. You may say, why are you doing that? You may say that. But in the mind of your mind, heart of your hearts, you know that it is God doing me that through that person, testing me whether I have total surrender to Him or not. With this idea of total surrender, we are always at peace. Our ego lesson, it is not hurt and it is not pounded on the quality of anyone by any action of any person. So that is the way we have the great leading a very happy and spiritual life. The self-surrender is truly made by him who always has the feeling, let all things happen according to your will. In all respects, I am bound to thee. To God it says, in all respects, I am bound to thee. He that has surrendered himself will be at peace, remembering that God is the bearer of the world's burden. The one that bears the burden himself will be ridiculous, like the figure on the temple tower appearing to bear the tower on its own shoulders. As one travelling in a carriage puts down his luggage in the carriage itself and completes his journey, so should he resign his own burden to God and complete his life in the world. So, total, give your all responsibilities to God. Lord, I don't know how to decide. Please give me, please guide me. Don't keep the burden on yourself. This is Gandhiji with lot of problems during freedom movement. He used to sleep very nicely at night, whatever time, little time he used to get. And people asked him, so much a problem of this meeting with the king and presenting the thing, small mistaken decision will have great results, great impact on your movement. How do you do that? How do you sleep? Gandhiji said, oh, when I go to bed, I put all the problems of this movement at the feet of Sri Krishna. I don't wear anything, and I go and have a nice sleep. Total detachment from the great work that the movement that he was leading. That is total surrender to God. God is the ultimate doer. Unless God wills, nothing happens. Nothing happens. If Gandhiji said, I am the doer, I brought freedom to India, I did so much this thing, it won't be that work. If Gandhi was there, Gandhi in the heart of hearts knows that it is God that who is doing this thing, and he had so much faith in God, in non-violence, that if I follow this, God is behind me. God will make this success, because this is the true path of loving all, not retaliating, not reacting. That is the greatest strength. Gandhiji was asked, whom would you choose, cowardice or non-violence? He says, cowardice or violence. He said, I will choose violence if cowardice is non-violence meant cowardice. Non-violence is the greatest strength when you don't retaliate, but you do the thing what you feel is right. So that power came from where? It is Gandhiji. It all came from his surrender to God, his total faith in the power of God, his total faith in the guidance and love of God. That we need to do. The more we have that faith in God, the more we become strong and we achieve true surrender. Swami Vivekananda says, God is the samashti, and this visible universe is God differentiated and made manifest. If we love this sum total, we love everything. Loving the world, doing it good, will all come easily then. We have to obtain this power only by loving God first. Otherwise, it is no joke to do good to the world. Everything is His and He is my lover. I love Him, says the Bhakta. In this way, everything becomes separate to the Bhakta, because all things are His. It means God's. All are His children, His body, His manifestation. How then may we hurt anyone? How then may we not love anyone? With the love of God will come, as a sure effect, the love of everyone in the universe. The nearer we approach God, the more do we begin to see that all things are in Him. When the soul succeeds in appropriating the bliss of this supreme love, it also begins to see Him in everything. Our heart will thus become an eternal fountain of love. And when we reach even higher states of this love, all the little differences between the things of the world are entirely lost. Man is seen no more as man, but only as God. The animal is seen no more as animal, but as God. Even the tiger is no more a tiger, but a manifestation of God. Thus, in this intense state of bhakti, worship is offered to everyone, to every life, and to every being. Knowing that Hari, the Lord, is in every being, the wise have thus to manifest unswerving love towards all beings. It's from the scriptures. As a result of this kind of intense, all-absorbing love, comes the feeling of perfect self-surrender, the conviction that nothing that happens is against us, apratikulya. Then the loving soul is able to say, if pain comes, welcome pain. If misery comes, it will say, welcome misery. You are also from the beloved. If a serpent comes, it will say, welcome serpent. If death comes, such a bhakta will welcome it with a smile. Blessed am I that they all come to me. They are all welcome. The bhakta in this state of perfect resignation, arising out of intense love to God and to all that are His, ceases to distinguish between pleasure and pain, in so far as they affect Him. He does not know what it is to complain of pain or misery. And this kind of uncomplaining resignation to the will of God with all love is indeed a worthier acquisition than all the glory of grand and heroic performances. This is total surrender, come everything. And he saw Vivekananda, he saw that in the devotees, in Bhavhari Baba. You see, Bhavhari Baba, one snake had come and bitten, and people asked, "Oh Swami, you were bitten by the snake, how are you feeling now?" No, don't worry, it was a message from my beloved. That time may come that you may have to come to me. Nothing is bad. This life is good, that life is good. Purnamada, Purnamidam, wherein there is no place. I am very happy. Why I am happy in this world? Because I am with God. Why am I not afraid of death? Because I will be with God. It is same. This life, after life, next life, it is same. May I be born again and again. That beautiful prayer. I don't want mukti, I don't want anything. May I be born again and again so that I can remove the suffering of others. Natvaham kama kamanam, that verse is different. So just for Gandhi's very famous verse that was Kame dukataptanam praninam artinashanam. I want to remove the affliction of the suffering people. It is not said out of arrogance or egotism. It is said out of pure love for other beings. May I be useful to myself, to be of service to others, so that I can remove the suffering of others. Let there be no suffering in the world. Let all be happy and smiling and peaceful. May I do something for that? It comes because of tremendous love for God and God's children. Only that then it can have. I don't want liberation. I don't want next life, but I want to remove the suffering of others. I want to be of service to others. That comes from total resignation to God, seeing God in everyone. Otherwise, that cannot come. As a result of this kind of intense, all-absorbing love comes the feeling of perfect self-surrender, the conviction that nothing that happens is against us, apratikulya. Then the loving soul is able to say, if pain comes, welcome pain. To the vast majority of mankind, the body is everything. The body is all the universe to them. Bodily enjoyment is their all in all, continues Swami Vivekananda. This demon of the worship of the body and the things of the body has entered into us all. We may indulge in tall talk and take very high flights, but we are like vultures all the same. Our mind is directed to the peace of carrion down below. Why should our body be saved from the tiger? Why may we not give it over to the tiger? The tiger will thereby be pleased. And that is not altogether so very far from self-sacrifice and worship. Can you believe the realization of such an idea in which all sense of self is completely lost? It is a very dizzy height on the pinnacle of the religion of love. And few in this world have ever climbed up to it. But until a man reaches that highest point of ever ready and ever willing self-sacrifice, he cannot become a perfect bhakta. We may all manage to maintain our bodies more or less satisfactorily and for longer or shorter intervals of time. Nevertheless, our bodies have to go. There is no permanence about them. Blessed are they whose bodies get destroyed in the service of others. And he quotes, wealth and even life itself, the sage always holds ready for the service of others in this world. There being one thing certain, namely death. It is far better that this body dies in a good cause than in a bad one. We may drag our life on for 50 years or 100 years, but after that, what is it that happens? Everything that is the result of combination must get dissolved and die. So, Swami Vivekananda would say, if tiger is appeased by eating the flesh of my body, I should be happy to give. Very high state of feeling of oneness with tiger and oneself. Both bodies are same, and I do not die. One has to have not only bhakti but jnana. the soul doesn't die, this body is not me. I am soul and body is something of this world. This Swami Vivekananda could say because he himself did it. You know it from his life. He was going in the forest and he saw one tiger there in front, and he sat down in front of tiger, waiting for tiger to jump and devour him, so the tiger eats his body and is pleased. That person can say this thing, not you and me, who are always protecting and thinking body to be ourselves. Swami Vivekananda practice and he speaks that, and that he says the pinnacle of bhakti, devotion, when you total surrender to the will of God. And what happens? What God wills. He said, Vivekananda, you are not going, your body is not going to destroy now, it will not be devoured. A lot of things to do. You have to go to the West, it was before coming to the West, and preach the truth. This is strength of bhakti, the strength of knowledge, the strength of spirituality to the whole world. That is to be done through this body. And I plan to do that through your body and mind. That is the God making Swami Vivekananda move and speak. Total surrender to the will of Sri Ramakrishna. That was what Swami Vivekananda is. Otherwise, such forceful language doesn't come if there is no total surrender. Swami Vivekananda says, do you think I speak? Do you think I write when I write letters? It is someone is holding my hand and is putting Swami Vivekananda clearly sees that some great power comes and he makes the writing, he makes him speak. One very beautiful picture I saw in Seattle. Swami Bhaskarananda made it draw with Vishwarananda Chakravarti, one famous artist in Bengali. Brought him in 1980s, and Swami Vivekananda is speaking in the Parliament of Religions in the lectern, and Sri Ramakrishna in the light for this thing, he's holding his hand and giving all the powers to Swami Vivekananda, and it was Sri Ramakrishna coming through the mouth of Swami Vivekananda. The world sees that Vivekananda is speaking, the reality is God himself is speaking. Then comes the power to move the world, and that can happen only if we have the power to total surrender ourselves to the will of God. No me, no Vivekananda. I don't find my body, Swami Vivekananda said. When I see in the mirror, then I realize, oh, I have a body too. So much of forgetfulness of body, you see. That's why you could say, you can be ready to give your body to tiger even. Sri Ramakrishna, of course, says to the people like us in this stage of our bhakti or surrender or spiritual status, that you have to protect yourself. God is equally present in tiger, but you don't go and embrace a tiger. Oh God, you are here. You don't embrace a tiger. That much of differentiation you keep. But you are not afraid of anything. That total fearlessness comes when there is full bhakti or full knowledge. There is total fearlessness. Swami Vivekananda continues, in this evanescent world, where everything is falling to pieces, we have to make the highest use of what time we have, says the Bhakta. And really the highest use of life is to hold it at the service of all beings. It is the horrible body idea that breeds all the selfishness in the world. Just this one delusion that we are only the body we own, and that we must by all possible means try our best to preserve and to please it. If you know that you are positively other than a body, you have then none to fight with or struggle against. You are dead to all ideas of selfishness. So the Bhakta declares that we have to hold ourselves as if we are altogether dead to all the things of the world, and that is indeed self-surrender. Let death bury the dead. You follow me, Christ said to his disciples. Let death bury the dead. What does it mean? Someone had died, and there were other people who were in the process of burying the dead body. He said, those who are burying the dead body are also like dead persons. They have no spiritual inclination. They have no higher goals in life. They are just with their mind in stomach and all that thing. As Sri Ramakrishna said, the very low sight they have about themselves. They are like dead walking people. One is dead lying and the dead walking. Let dead bury the dead. That's what Swami Vivekananda said. If we are totally identified with the body, it's like that. If our body died and we are awoke from the idea that I am the body, then comes the real person out of that feeling. This is the meaning of Thy will be done. Not going about fighting and struggling and thinking all the while that God wills all our own weaknesses and worldly ambitions. It may be that good comes even out of our selfish struggles. That is, however God's look out. The perfect Bhakta's idea must be never to will and work for himself. Total Karma Yoga. Lord, they build high temples in your name. They make large gifts in your name. I am poor. I have nothing. So I take this body of mine and place it at your feet. Do not give me up, O Lord. Such is the prayer proceeding out of the depths of the Bhakta's heart. To him who has experienced it, this eternal sacrifice of the self unto the beloved Lord is higher by far than all wealth and power, and even all soaring thoughts of renown and enjoyment. The peace of the Bhakta's calm resignation is a peace that passeth all understanding, is of incomparable value. Is apratikulya, it is state of the mind in which it has no interest and naturally knows nothing that is opposed to it. In this state of sublime resignation, everything in the shape of attachment goes away completely, except that one all-absorbing love to Him, in whom all things live and move and have their being. This attachment of love to God is indeed one that does not bind the soul, but effectively breaks it all bondages. Finally, in the Gita it is said, give up all your duties, responsibilities, whatever you think, sarva dharman parityajya, mam ekam saranam vraja. Just you surrender only to one me. Mam ekam saranam vraja. What about our duties in life of householders, responsibilities towards their children and their family? What will happen to that if we totally surrender without considering anything? Lord says, I will take care. You don't have to do. I will guide you. After you surrender totally to God, then God takes hold of you. When Girish gave up everything to Sri Ramakrishna took hold of him and did so many great works through him. He became such a great person and inspiration, total inspiration for even to us today, because he could give up his everything to Lord. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam saranam vraja. Aham tva sarva papebhyo muktishyami. I'll free you from all sins, all weaknesses. And then you'll be made useless? No. I will take care of you and I will make you my instrument and you will do much more. I will do much more through your body and mind than what your ego will have done through it. That is called total self-surrender. Most of us are very ordinary creatures with humdrum lives, work to be done and days filled with a multiplicity of trivial decisions and tasks. Our lives are made up of a stream of petty affairs, some pleasant, many boring, and a lot unpleasant and often tragic. We must not exaggerate. There is a great deal of pleasure, even delight in life. But there is also much that is irritating and tedious. Everything in life is to be welcomed, says the Gita, as the expression of the will of God. So we must accept what we often cannot avoid and endure with love and resignation. Things which cause us weariness and disgust. This is what is known as perfection in spirituality. For most of us to become as perfect as humanly possible, we must submit to all that God wills for our particular way of life. The Lord speaks to us through the happenings around us during the present moment only and not in the past or future. Unfortunately, we are bored with the small happenings around us. Yet it is these trivialities which can do marvels for us if only we did not despise them. We should rather lovingly accept them as gifts of God for our spiritual advancement. Everything should lead us to God. A real devotee will not ask the Lord even for mukti, so long as the subtle desire for liberation lingers in one's heart. He cannot claim himself to be a true devotee of the Lord. Though the desire for emancipation is of sattvic nature, yet the devotee has become a slave of mukti. He is still selfish and so is unfit to call himself a sincere lover of God. He has not yet made total, unreserved self-surrender. To ask for mukti is a variety of hypocrisy. Can a true devotee dare ask anything from God when he fully knows that he is an ocean of love and compassion? A real devotee never complains anything against God. A raw bhakta speaks ill of God when he is in distress. He says, I have done 25 lakhs of japa, I am studying Bhagavad Gita daily, yet God is not pleased with me. He has not removed my sufferings. God is blind. He has not heard of my prayers. What sort of God is Lord Krishna? I have no faith in him. These are the words of premature bhakta. A bhakta to be there, expecting a lot of things. The real total surrender, self-surrender does not mean retirement into forest. It does not mean giving up of all activities. But it means working hard and giving all the responsibility of fruit of actions to God. Once, St. Francis asked that if God appears to you and asks, what do you want? Two options. One is, I'll make you pure and you will be with me throughout this life and you will work as I direct. One option. Another option is, you come to me. Now itself you are free. Give up this body and come to me. Which one will you choose? What will you say? He asked himself. Both options very difficult. Whether you want to live in this life, pure life, thinking of God, and whether God has come, you want to go with Him. Big test. Both seem to be equally good. These people there couldn't answer. Rather, they questioned him. Father, what will you do if God comes? Oh, if God comes and gives me that choice, I will say, Lord, I do not know. Whatever you choose to do that, I am pleased. I surrender myself totally to your will and your decision. That's called total surrender, true surrender to God. Not being afflicted and affected in the world, knowing that it's God that is doing everything to me. Bodily, mentally, everything is done by God. Not being distressed and no complaint. That's our daily prayer. May we not accuse, demand or complain. That comes from the spirit of total and true surrender.